I have three kids, one of which is deceased, and he was killed by his mother and her boyfriend after she left me.
Yeah, this whole podcast is just about helping out single dads. Talking about your situation, other situations of kind of what happened. Hopefully, this helps somebody else, and yeah, whatever they're going through.
Right, right. I totally appreciate that, man, and I appreciate sharing, giving me the opportunity to share my story. Because I really do feel that this experience is not. I shouldn't just keep it to myself at this point because it's a lot of things that happen along the way
Yep.
that could have been prevented, and it's just a very sad situation all together. That it's just part of being a man, I guess, here in this country.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you told me a little bit that you tried to. I mean, we'll get into it more. I kind of want to get back to the beginning, but just to throw this out there, I think you said you had told the judge a couple times like what's going on, and nothing happened. Like,
Correct.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then that can be so frustrating too, because there's nothing you can do.
Right.
You're
Like legally, there's nothing that I can do.
right,
There's
and
nothing that I
then
can do.
the worst of the worst happened, and it turned out you were right, and then it's like you want to hold everyone accountable at that point. Like I'd be pissed at the judge, pissed at everybody. It's like I friggin' told you guys.
Right, right.
So
And hopefully me sharing this story and going through what I go through um will give people knowledge on situations like this, if they ever find themselves in a situation like this, and to prevent the worst from happening. There's things that I could have done differently
right,
myself.
yeah. Well,
Um
yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself, and then kind of we'll start in the beginning. Like, how did you meet your ex, and kind of go from there, if that's cool.
yeah, yeah, that's totally awesome. So my name is Kewin Palacio. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Lawrenceville is a suburb outside of Atlanta. And I grew up here my whole life, and I have three kids, one of which is deceased, and he was killed by his mother and her boyfriend after she left me. And when I met her, everything was going fine until she got pregnant. Once she got pregnant, she started showing violent tendencies towards me, and she was very aggressive towards my daughter, who I had already. And she was 5 years old, and it got to the point where I couldn't have my daughter around anymore. I couldn't bring my daughter to my house because like I just didn't feel comfortable with my daughter being spoken to that way, and like I'm not gonna speak to a woman in front of my daughter any sort of way to where it shows me being aggressive or anything. So I just avoided any sort of conflict
Yeah.
for the most
And
part.
how long were you dating her before she got pregnant?
We were dating for about a year
Oh,
before
okay.
she got pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were dating for about a year, and I was working out of town a lot. So I was going to North Carolina from Georgia and staying out there for like 2, 3 weeks at a time.
Oh, wow.
And she was staying at my mom's house, and everything between me and her was perfectly fine. And my mom and my sister would tell me like, that girl is really, very rude. She's very aggressive towards us. She's really aggressive towards my nephew who was living at the house at the time. And I wasn't there to see it because I was always out of town working,
Right.
preparing to get this life rolling for me, and this, because me and her were just dating. I wasn't in a position to have a kid yet, even though I had already had a child and she was 5 years old.
Yep.
Like, that was another relationship. I had gone back to living with my mom's house,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, and I met this girl and she got pregnant, and I was working my way out of it, out of living at my mom's house and having my own place. We finally got our own place, like before she had the baby. We had our own place, and at that moment, it just got very violent, very, very quickly. While she was pregnant, I had called the cops on her twice.
Damn.
I had called the cops on her twice. One time because she had hit me, and at this moment in time, I'm thinking, going through what I've gone through with my first ex, with the first mother of my first child. I knew that once women in my experience, not saying all women,
Yeah.
but in my experience, once women start showing signs like that, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So you got to prepare yourself to stay in your child's life, you know. And unfortunately for men here in Georgia, you know, whether that child is yours or not, like that child is not yours unless you establish it legally in the court, you know. So that child could, I could be on the birth certificate, could have
Oh,
my last
really?
name. Yeah, but that child has no legal ties to the father. None.
That's
None
unbelievable.
whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's already hard enough for fathers, especially, because you have the perception of, there's always those deadbeat dads that get a woman
Right.
pregnant, they dip out, and the mother's stuck with raising kids. But you have those fathers who really want to be in their kids' lives, and it's like sometimes the mother's preventing that and making it very hard. And it's like for the
Exactly.
court system to really kind of make it more difficult for the father to be in their life is mind blowing to me that it's still happening nowadays. You know what I mean? In
Yeah, yeah,
2022.
and it happens all the time here in Georgia. Like, you know, I'm not the only one that it's
Right.
happened to. And, you know, me knowing that that's how it works here in Georgia, I started creating paper trail, you know,
100%.
because you know, if it's gonna turn into a custody battle, then you want to have everything that you can use in that custody battle,
Yep.
you know. Um, so I started doing that and calling the cops, but the cops wouldn't do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
One time she hit me.
she's pregnant too, so she looks like,
Yeah,
she almost looks like the victim, you know?
right. And I'm a Latino man, and she was white, and I don't want to say it was because of that reason, but
Right.
you know that didn't go,
Well, I'm sure
that
too.
didn't
You're
help the
you're you're
situation.
tatted up and all that. You know what I mean? So I'm
Exactly.
sure
Like,
that
yeah,
didn't
I
help.
got tattoos on my neck, on my
Yeah.
face and stuff. And I'm not a bad person whatsoever. Like, I'm a
Right.
father. I do this because I know how to work with my hands.
Yep.
And, you know, like, you know, you sign up for the job. I'm a blue collar worker, you know.
Yep.
So, you know, that happened while she was pregnant. After she was pregnant, after she had the baby, you know, I called the cops on her an additional 5 times. One time she got up in the middle of the night, hysterical, and she grabbed the baby and ran into the woods with him. And it was 3 in the morning, and I called the cops, and she was barefoot, and they found her in the middle of the woods with my son.
And did nothing
And
about it.
they did nothing. They did nothing. They did nothing. And I'm like,
Oh my
what do
God.
I do, guys? I'm like, I don't feel safe giving her my child. And
Right.
they're like, well, are you married? No, we're not married, but that's my child. And like, you know, look at
Because of the
this.
state of
And they're,
Georgia, they
yeah.
did that.
So
Yeah.
here in Georgia, she gets to walk away with the child regardless of what's going on because that's the mother, and she's the only legal guardian.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that they'll recognize by law. So what they did that night, they called her brother, and her brother picked her up and took her to her mom's house with my child. And then I had to sit there and just like, you know, like if I freak out, I'm going to jail. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're trying
So
to do the
I
right
couldn't
thing, and
I
yeah.
couldn't do anything. And then another night I called them because she started hitting herself. Well, before I jump to that one, there was one day she was driving the car, and I was trying to break up with her, you know. So she pretty much trapped me into being in a relationship with her, and that was the only means of me seeing my child.
Yep.
Right. So,
I feel you on
you
that
know,
one.
and it was such a bad situation because through her pregnancy, I had established with her, like, look, we are not together. I don't want to be with you. Like, you know, like I'm not able to see my daughter because I'm stuck in a relationship with you. But like, you will stay in this apartment together throughout the lease, and you know, I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And you know, while you're pregnant, but once you know the baby is big enough to put in daycare, you know, I'm not responsible for you. I'm responsible for the baby at that point,
Yeah.
you know. And that was established. But once she had the baby, we found her a job at a daycare, and the baby was being taken care of at daycare. So she was actually being paid to watch our child at a daycare.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like perfect. And you know, after that, she moved back to her mom's house, and you know, I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're not together. But
Were you
it
splitting
started.
time with the kid? Like, was the
Yeah, I was
child from
spending
you?
every day. Every day I was going to her mom's house to check
Okay.
on my kid, you know.
Yeah.
And after a while, she wouldn't like let me take my kid. And I'm like, you know, I have a other child, you know,
Yep.
that I want them to spend time together, you know, not just an hour or two
Right.
on a random day, you know. Like, you know, the baby's big enough for me to take him, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a whole 5-year-old walking around, and she's a little
Right.
girl. This is a little boy, and like, you know, I'm a father,
Yeah. You
bro.
know how to do it. You know the
Yeah,
routine.
like
Yeah.
I'm a father. And she wouldn't let me, and it just got to a point where I was stuck in a relationship with her. And one day we're driving, and she's behind the wheel, and I'm telling her, hey, this has to stop. Like, I can't keep spending money on you. I really just want to see the baby. Like, we should really, like, I don't enjoy spending time with you. I really don't. And she tried to ram the car up against a tree, and the baby was in the back seat. And I called the cops, and she's beating the hell out of me while I'm calling the police, and she's beating the hell out of me, and she's calling her mom, and her mom's listening to her beat the hell out of me while I'm talking to the police, and I'm all scratched up and all over my neck and everything. Cops show up after she drops me off at my house, and then she's gone. So they don't find her. They finally find her in a shell like 3 miles away with my son in the back seat, and she's all crying and stuff, and I'm all scratched up. Mind you, they found me all scratched up, and I'm telling them she tried to, like, pretty much kill us. I'm
Yeah.
like trying to report an attempt of murder here, and they did nothing that time. They did nothing.
It's wild.
The third time I called the police, well, this would be the fifth time. The fifth time I called the police, she woke up one night very angry, and she shook the baby because he was crying for food.
Yeah.
Like, she was just irritated
And
having
this
to
is
take
her
care of
first
him.
child, right?
This is her first child, yeah.
Okay.
And this was a bipolar. This is a person who had bipolar disorder, and I would tell them every time, hey, she's off her medication. She just had a child. Like, I don't know if it's her bipolar or postpartum, but like, really, like, this isn't a safe situation. Like, I need help.
Yeah.
While I'm calling the police, mind you, as I'm calling the police, there was a few times that I called DFAX to report this, right? And DFAX would tell me, call the police.
Yeah.
And the
Now,
police will call us.
so the people that don't know, so here we have DCYF. Is DFAX a child services?
Yeah, it's Department of Family and Child Services.
Okay, cool. Yep. Just for people who don't know that.
Yeah, DFAX is the Department of Family and Child Services, and I'm calling them to report child abuse, right? Because they're the people who come in and place the child in foster care or find the next person of kin who can take care of that child while that mother gets investigated, or father, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm calling them to report this abuse so that they can give me temporary guardianship or custody, because this woman is obviously, like, not fit. Like, she's over here, like, throwing tantrums, breaking stuff, being violent towards a child, being violent towards everybody, really. Like, there wasn't a time that she just wasn't mean. She was always mean. And so I called them, and they would tell me, hey, call the police, and the police would call us. Every time I tell the police to do something, they never did anything. I tell them, hey, DFAX just told me to call you guys, and, like,
and for you
out here, guys.
Yeah, for you to take that second step to not only call the police but then go to DFAX and talk to them, it's like you're clearly trying to solve a problem and it's not getting solved. You're just running around in circles. Yeah.
It was so frustrating, man. It was so frustrating to have to deal with that. And then the final call that I made to the police, and this is when she knew that I had her. Like, she knew that I had her, because she already knew that I had filed for legitimation. Like, at this point, the baby was about, like, 5 months old. So, to establish your rights, that's very, like, jumping the gun. Like, a lot of fathers wait till the child is years old to establish any sort of rights, because there's usually an understanding. So there's no need for you to, like, establish your rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we can talk this out between you and me as a woman. But, like, here, I'm jumping years ahead of time and doing it while he's a baby, because, like, I need to do this now. And she knew that with that final call that I did, which was, I called them one night because she started hitting herself up against the walls, started bashing her head up against the wall. And she threatened that she was going to call the police on me and say that I did it.
Oh, damn.
And, I was drunk, mind you. I was drunk. And I called police on her because I'm like, holy crap. Like, yo, that's scary. That's 100%. Scary, bro. And I called cops and I tell them what's going on. She leaves with my child, right? And then she calls the police saying that I'm suicidal. And then she 1013'd me, right? 1013 is where they place you under, like, surveillance in the hospital to make sure that you're not suicidal.
Right.
So I went through the process. I was like,
so wait, they actually came and took you in?
They came and took me, and they're
So
like,
they
"Hey, you either come."
essentially arrested you.
Yeah, in my own property. And I'm like, I didn't do any, like, I didn't have any marks on
My
me. I didn't
God.
have anything on me. Like, like, what the, like,
Yeah.
my hands were clean, everything. I was like, what? I just called you guys because this person is hitting themselves. Like, listen to the 911 call that I just made. Like, listen to the call that I just made.
Dude, that is
Right.
so frustrating.
And,
Oh,
I was like, look at the 911 call that I just made. Look at the history of the calls that you've come out for. Like, just
yeah.
that. Like, look at how many times I've called you guys. Like, and you guys are thinking that I'm the problem here now. Like, all of a sudden, I'm the,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
they're like, look, man, you either come, like, on your own will, on your own free will, or we're gonna have to take you for your own good. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I cannot believe this. So I go, and I'm drunk.
Right.
And mind you, I have to walk away from my apartment that she totally just trashed and go sit in a hospital for 2 days while they
Two
observe me.
days.
Yeah.
When you got out, there was nothing you could have done for
There
like
is
almost a false allegation of that.
right. There is nothing I could do. What she did while I was in there is gonna shock you, man. What she did while I was in there, and this is what essentially got my son done with. Like,
Yeah.
what she did, she took pictures that night that the first night that I was in the hospital. She took pictures of herself all bruised up, which she did to herself. And then she went to a courtroom, asked for a restraining order, and said that I did that to her and that I threw pieces of drywall at my son.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, what the heck? And like the proof that she had for the pieces of drywall that I threw at my son, it was like drywall dust on his car seat or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Mind you, man, I'm calling the police because she's hitting herself and busting her head up against the wall, making like a huge hole. She made a huge hole up in the wall, like with her head,
Yeah.
which I've never seen anybody do something like that. Like, like I was scared, bro. And she got approved for that restraining order. When we go to the court hearing for that restraining order, I tell the judge, look at this transcript that I got for the 911 call that I made that morning, and look at the photo timestamp on her phone. Like, these two
Oh,
correlate.
because
These
then
two
you can get the
correlate,
timestamps. Yeah. Yeah.
bro. I went in there without a lawyer, bro,
Good
because
for
I,
you.
I thought I had enough proof to like
Right.
get this dropped. And I was like, sir, I'm in the middle of a legitimation process. She's trying to do this to alienate me from the child. I'm telling you that I've been reporting abuse. I told the judge everything, bro. It was like in one ear, out the other.
Of
I
course.
swear to God, I've never, ever. I don't wish that experience on anybody, bro. When and you're experiencing it, and like the law that is
Yep.
supposed to be there to protect people like us. Like, I'm a victim, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And like they're totally like taking that and out the window. Like, they're
Yeah.
impossible that I could be a
And it
victim,
eats you alive too when you know you're right, you know what's going on, and it's like you're telling
Right.
people no one's
And,
doing
and, and
anything.
there's nothing that I could do. Like, since I knew the legal system already by then, I have already been put through the legal system enough times with my first child.
Yeah.
Like, she's 5 years old. There's I had to go through court for her too.
Now,
And
did this stuff affect how your 5-year-old now? Did it affect, like, did they let you see her, or you know what I mean? Like, was there any
yeah, like,
restraints?
it had nothing to do with my child. Like, the allegations were against the mother, right? So this is my second baby mama, right? So I
Yeah.
had two kids. So I had one with who was 5, and then this newborn child who was 5 months old when he got approved for that restraining order.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect anything. With what it affected was with my 5-month-old, with James.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know if they were thinking like, oh, you're a bad dad, so now you can't see your other kid if you're abusing this child. You know what I mean? But
Right. No,
none of that happened. Got
definitely
you.
not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
And that would only come up I don't know how that would come up really, but they just told me
So the restraining order
basically
got approved.
it got approved. They just told me basically that I wasn't allowed to talk to her or see her or the baby for a year.
For a year.
For a year, bro. And I was telling the judge, like, Judge, look, this is a mistake. I need to get, this child is, I'm fighting for custody for him for his own safety, this is for his own safety. I'm in the process of it. I don't think you want to do that. Like, but I didn't pay my lawyers to go for that specific case,
And
so
that,
they didn't
yep,
represent me for that. You know what I'm
yep,
saying? Like I'm not made out of money, bro, and these
exactly.
lawyer fees are crazy.
Yep.
You know, so that happened, and she got approved for that restraining order. Within literally 4 weeks, she fractured his skull.
So
Right?
within that time frame, 4 weeks after that, then that incident happened.
No, so this first incident was in January, right? So the restraining order got approved on December 8th.
Yeah.
And then on January like 4th, they show up at the hospital. She shows up at the hospital with him. All the way from Waleska. So she took like a freaking hour and 45-minute drive to bring him to the hospital over here in Gwinnett, right? And she showed up with him, and he had a fractured skull, and she was immediately placed under investigation by DFAX finally. But get this, DFAX didn't reach out to me.
Right.
DFAX had no record of the calls that I made. DFAX knew nothing of the gravity of the situation, of how bad it had gotten to that point, you
Yeah.
know?
So they kind of just like let it go because she
They
had no
pretty much just
prior.
let it go.
Yeah.
They put her under investigation. To this day, they still haven't given me any paperwork on that, and I'll
Wow.
touch base on that here in a bit. But they never contacted me about any of that, and they did an investigation for like 2 weeks. They gave her mother, the grandmother,
The custody.
the temporary custody with it for those 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
The grandmother didn't tell me nothing. Nobody told me nothing, right? And the grandmother, she's another person who had a whole other mix to do with his death. But you know, they did the investigation for 2 weeks. You know, immediately, you know, a grandmother and her, you know, the mother and her child, she gave the baby right back to my
Of
baby
course.
mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of course. So the abuse didn't stop. You know, maybe she was a little scared because she was under investigation for the time, but I'm sure the abuse didn't stop just because they fractured his skull. But they gave her custody of the baby after the 2 week investigation because they didn't find anything serious to investigate, right? Um, so fast forward to his birthday. 2 weeks after his birthday, her boyfriend calls her while she's at work and says that he found the baby unresponsive. So his birthday is on April.
Yeah.
So this was in January. So he died in April 29th, and his birthday is in April 10th. So it was like 2 weeks after his first birthday, and my baby mama's boyfriend calls her while she's at work, and he's like, "Hey, the baby's unresponsive, or whatever," and you know they take the baby to the hospital, or the ambulance shows up, and he was on life support for like a day, and for the time that he was in the hospital, they didn't let me see him. They didn't let me go up to see him. They because of this restraining order.
No way.
The police showed up there because I was there, right?
Yeah.
Like of course I'm gonna go, you know. And you know, the police told me, hey, you know, we totally understand, man, but if you go up there, we're gonna have to arrest you. You know, like it is what it is. That's the law. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you know, we're like, you know, and she had gotten served the paperwork for the custody hearing.
Dude, this is
Like
making
two,
me so fucking mad right now. Like I'm just
yeah,
so like
man.
I'm
Like,
shaking. I'm
I'm
like,
telling you, bro. Like, what they did to me is so fucked up,
oh
man.
my
Like, I'm sorry to
god.
say it. Like, I'm sorry to curse, but yeah, man, it's so messed up what they did to me, bro. Like, the cops pretty much, you know, they were beating around the bush about how bad the situation was because you know, I got the call from her sister. Her sister called me and was like, "Hey, Kellen, you know, I like, you know," and I didn't want to talk to her sister at first because you know I can't make any third party communication or anything because of this
Yep.
restraining order. So I was being, bro, like I was so like careful with everything legally for
Yep.
this child, like, you know, because I knew I was gonna win full custody. I knew I was like.
Yep.
I had all the proof. I had so much video proof of her hurting me and her hurting the child, and I had so much proof. I had so much proof. So I knew I was going to win. And, you know, she had gotten served the paperwork for the court hearing. And then 2 weeks after she got served, they they come up with this little, you know, scheme that they did. And, you know, when like I said, when the cops were there at the hospital, you know, it got to the point where they just threatened me to, they threatened to arrest me, you know, that I had to like leave the premise. And I had no legal right to go see him,
Right.
not even at the funeral home. I did. They didn't give me a say so whether or not they pulled them. They could pull them off life support. And they knew what was up. Like at this point, the detectives knew what was up. They're like, yeah,
Right.
we know she killed him. We know she killed him. Like we know.
Jesus.
But they're like, we can't arrest her right now. They didn't arrest her for 5 months, man.
It took
Nobody was
5 months
arrested
for
for
that?
five. It took 5 months for them to make an arrest, and it took 5 months of me putting every single person that knew something about what was going on in front of these people.
Of course. I
Like,
mean, you're literally just getting the short end of every single stick, and then the
yeah,
worst possibility
you know,
happens.
yeah, exactly. And I'm over here like, talking to all these people, and people are seeing stuff happen with me. So I'm finally getting all these people to like talk to the detectives with me,
Yeah.
to the investigators. But when we're at the hospital, they're like, yeah, we know what happened. We just got to prove it,
Yeah.
you know. So I was like, what the hell? Like, if that child was found in that condition by like under my supervision, I would go to jail immediately.
In a second, you'd be in handcuffs. In a
Yeah,
second. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
what did she get charged for this?
she got charged. She got charged. She didn't get directly charged. She got charged with second-degree murder. She got charged with child cruelty, and she got charged with neglect.
And
She's
what was her sentence, if you don't mind me asking?
they haven't sentenced her, but her maximum sentence could be up to 70 years. Right,
70?
70.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
Her boyfriend, mind you, her boyfriend. I'm pretty sure he was abusive too, because I mean, if he sees monkey see, monkey do type of deal, you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like if he sees this woman hitting her child, what's gonna stop him from hitting her child? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and he was a little methed out little dude too. So like,
But he was the last one
he was the
with
last
him.
one watching my kid.
Right. So
He was the last one watching my kid.
did he
Yeah,
also get sentenced?
they haven't gotten sentenced.
Oh,
They
my
just
bad.
been indicted,
Yeah.
and they're awaiting trial right now. Right.
Yeah.
So right now, with him, he got charged with second-degree malice murder, child cruelty with causing harm, and child neglect and obstruction of justice. And he's facing 180-year maximum.
Holy shit. I mean, I don't feel bad at all. I hope they get every fucking year.
Right.
It's just
Right.
crazy to think that, that's a lot of time. But
Right.
are they going to use any of your evidence that you have?
Oh
Are they
yeah,
allowed to use
definitely.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
'Cause
man.
that's
I'm like,
huge.
and it may sound crazy, but man, they're talking about that discovery package is like 4 feet tall. Like it's a lot of information that I had myself, and a lot of information that the people I put in front of them had. Because I put
Yeah.
her employers in front of them and everything like that. Like she worked at daycares, and
Right. You're working around kids.
yeah, and people were already like, yo, like people who work, they're like, I grew up where I live right now. So she was working around here, and like people who are working at these facilities are people that I grew up with.
Right.
So you tell me like, hey man, your girl's kind of aggressive with the kids. And she like, you know what I'm saying? Like that would
Yeah.
happen. That would happen. She'd get into altercations with parents and stuff various times. She got fired from daycares for that reason. So there is a history there of her violence.
Yeah.
And I just put that in front of the investigators as much as I could, so that they had something to like look into.
Yeah. And now, have you gone in front of the judge? Like, since this has happened, have you gone in front of the judge and like talked to him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I would be like, my man, I told you everything about this, and you guys did nothing.
Well, that's what happened next. Since after he died, I wanted rights. I still wanted my rights. I
Yeah.
still wanted to, you know what I'm saying? I still wanted to be recognized as his father, even though he was dead. So, at that point, I had the lawyers telling me and the judges telling me like, "Are you sure? Like, what's the point?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What's the point?
Oh God.
What do you mean? What's the point? The point is that I didn't get a funeral. The point is that I can't,
Yep.
like, where is he? Like, where is his remains? That's the point. That's the whole point, is that this woman was holding his ashes and she killed him. Like, how disrespectful can you be to my son? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's
it had
unbelievable.
me
Yeah.
so angry, bro.
Yeah.
So, I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna keep fighting this. And we went to court for the legitimation and then the custody, and they gave me post-hominis full custody. So with this, I had legal access to all of his medical records, heard the investigation defects had. I have legal access to everything that had to do with him for the year that he was alive now,
Yeah.
since I have established that. And mind you, bro, this part's gonna sound freaking crazy to you. When we went to the last custody hearing to give me my full rights, like they were like, yeah, you would have had full rights had he been alive, pretty much. She had the nerve to show up to court with her boyfriend who killed our son, and they wanted to defame me, like, throw dirt on my name, saying that I was violent. Mind you, I've never met the man, so like, how is he talking about my
Right.
character? How is he a character witness to me? We've never spoken, and we've never sat in the same room before. We sat in
Well,
this
right,
courtroom
and
together.
you
Like,
had a
what are
you
you
had a
talking?
restraining order on you too, so it's not
Right.
like you could
So
have.
like,
Yeah.
she started dating him like within a couple of hours of putting that or whatever. Like,
Wow.
I don't care, because
Right.
like, I was done with that relationship long ago.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, whatever. Like, if you're dating, you're dating. Like, that's fine. That's fine with me. I
Yeah.
don't care. But yeah, he went on there to talk about me and say how violent I was and how I shouldn't be awarded anything. And then she came on and asked that if I get awarded anything, that I pay child support for the year that the baby was alive.
Now, what would you be awarded? Like, who pays that?
Bro, that's what I'm saying. She was asking me to pay child support.
Oh! She was asking you to pay child support for the time that he was alive, and now he's dead, but she wanted that back child support.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Bro, I'm telling you that everybody's mouth dropped.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like what the hell did we just hear her say?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And she got cross-examined. Her and her boyfriend got cross-examined by my lawyers, and they brought up the murder. And like, everybody could tell that they were totally like, you know,
Just no
caught
emotion.
caught in their freaking web of lies that they
Oh.
created to cover this up. Like, they were
Yeah.
all over the place, bro. And it was just a bad performance on their part. It was so like, oh my God, disgusting. It was so disgusting.
Yeah.
After that, she didn't want to give me she didn't want to give me his ashes, bro. So
Tell me you have him now, though.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
He's right here. He's right here. Thankfully, I
Yeah.
got him blessed and everything. I don't have the heart to leave him anywhere, bro. Like,
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
rather keep him home with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got his ashes finally. Once she got arrested, her roommate was like, man, look, I didn't believe a single word she was saying. I slept with a gun under my pillow just in case, like, on some
Jesus.
real. Like, she was in a halfway house because she was homeless.
Yeah.
She had a child in prison, bro. She was pregnant and homeless. After her man got arrested, she got pregnant pretty much like days after she killed the baby. Let me just start there. She got
Oh, with
pregnant
her new man.
with her new
Wow.
man.
So she's in prison now.
She's in prison
pregnant.
now. She had her baby already, and
Oh.
the baby got put in foster care. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, but unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's a baby. It's a tiny little girl, so hopefully she gets put in a good family.
Yeah.
But any family is better than this one, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, they had a baby in prison, and once she got arrested, her roommate gave me the ashes. Thank God. And
That's awesome, yeah.
they wouldn't give me his ashes. Like, I took it to court, and they wouldn't give me the ashes, and she was being a dick about it.
Yeah.
Still, like, one thing that she could hold over me, she thought. So thankfully I got his ashes. So now we're just going through the trials, and just waiting for them to get charged.
And it's tough, man, because you literally you don't win anything. You've lost the greatest gift ever, and it's like, at the end of the day, it sucks because you were right the whole time, and it's like the judge, the police, the DFAC, all of them just kind of just threw you aside and didn't really care what you had to say, and it sucks because the ultimate thing happened, and it's like oh my God, I can't even, like,
Right.
I'm so pissed, but
Like, through my experience, man, I really don't know what I could have done differently other
Right.
than I showed so much restraint, bro. Like I showed so much composure. I
Yep.
I I took everything the legal route,
Yeah.
and even then, like doing everything the right way, like there's so many roadblocks put up against me as a father that I couldn't do that I
Right. Well,
couldn't
it also
do
seems like your
what I
state.
should be able to do,
Yeah.
is keep my child safe.
Yeah. It also seems like your state of Georgia too. It's weird that they don't recognize fathers as legal guardians because, I mean, I'm in New Hampshire, and as soon as they do recognize the father as a legal as soon as you sign that birth certificate. Um, but yeah, that's just crazy. It's just you did everything right. I wouldn't even say it sucks because it's like you can't go back, but you did what you should have done. Um, I don't even know. I
Well,
mean, maybe get a lawyer, but then again, it's like money that you don't have. You're not made of money, so
exactly,
it's tough.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, what I suggest doing, man, like for anybody in Georgia, and look, there's this thing called an acknowledgement of paternity, right? And that will give you a leg up on legitimation. If you're not making enough money to pay for a lawyer and all that, there's this affidavit called the Pauper's affidavit,
Yeah,
and
which they'll supply you
that
with
will
money.
waive all the fees
Yeah.
for legitimation. So there's tools out there that we can use, and thinking back on it, that's the only things that I could think of
Yeah.
that could have helped me speed up the process of legitimation any
Right.
further. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But again, with the Pauper's affidavit, there's a waiting period. Where they look at your taxes, they look at your
Of
income, and
course.
and what I'm saying, all
Yeah.
that stuff. And with the acknowledgement of paternity, all that and they usually they provide this at every hospital, where when they make you sign for the birth certificate and the acknowledgement of paternity, all it really is, it gives them a leg up, or the women, to be able to claim child support on you, because you're
Uh,
acknowledging you're
yeah.
acknowledging that you are the father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't give you any legal rights, but
Yeah.
that gives them a legal right to
To
charge you
claim
with child
something. Yeah,
support.
the system needs to change, and that's kind of what this whole podcast and everything is about. Because I'm going through a crazy situation, and same thing with child support, and it's just like it doesn't. It's not good for the men. It really doesn't. It's not equal, to
Well,
even
I
at
mean,
all.
it's a system completely built to create broken homes,
Right.
and unfortunately for us, we're stuck in a generation where the new women coming up, and the women who have already been around have learned to exploit that for their benefit, and
Right.
always play the role of the victim if need be.
Yeah.
And
Great way to put it.
in my experience, man, you can never trust anybody too much for them to think that they won't do that to you.
Right.
Like,
Right.
oh
Yeah.
yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
they
mean,
will.
I would say the one good thing too is that you just kept all your evidence and everything you needed to, because that's one thing that I talk about a lot on here is keep the phone records, keep any video, any texts, emails, keep all of that stuff, because hopefully you never have to use it, but if you do, you have it.
Right,
So
right. And again, like, don't it. My advice to fathers out there going through situations like that, like I had another child after my child, right? And this situation is crazy too, man. Like, it's like I'm going through it, and it is what it is. That's what most of us say.
you gotta pick these women a little better.
Right. And well, what it is, man, like I feel like, me personally, I I get used for that reason. I feel like I've
Yeah.
been used for that reason. I've been used just so that these women who will never have a child, or they feel like that, finally have a child,
Yeah.
and they run with it. You know what I'm saying? So what happened with my third baby mama is, you know, me and her were dating after I split up with my second baby mama, right? And she's watching me go through the legal battles and everything, and then we experienced the death of my child. Like, she experienced that with me,
Oh, okay.
right?
So you guys were together during that whole
Yeah,
situation. Okay.
yeah, uh-huh. And at that moment in time, I'm like, I don't want to have any more kids. Like, I don't know where you were at, but like, you
Right.
were already to begin with talking about I don't want to be your third baby mama if that were to ever happen. And I'm already thinking that way too. Like, I want to have this child full custody, but like, if you want a child, you can have this child that I already had over here. Because I'm not trying to have any other children right now, at
Yep.
least. Like,
Right.
if you want to be here with me, like, I'm gonna be a single father, and
Yeah. And
that's what
how old are you, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
30 years old right now.
30 years old. So, and your daughter, your oldest is 5 now?
No, she's 7 now. She
7
was
now.
5 at
Okay,
the
it's 5
time.
at the time. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were young when you
Yeah,
had your kid.
when
Yep.
this like I had my first kid when I was 22, and
Yep.
I had my own place. I've always had my own place. Like, I just get up and go to work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But with my third baby mama, at with my child after he died, and me and her were preparing mentally to have this child come into our home. Like, we were living together already, and she was totally like stepping up, like proving that she can be a great mom by being a great mom to my 5 year old, 6 year old daughter who I had, right there. She was being awesome. Like, she's great with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was a preschool teacher herself too, and she was amazing with kids. She's amazing with kids. Nothing bad to say about the woman. But I told her I didn't want any more kids. She understood that we were on birth control or whatever. And one day it comes across that she tells me she stopped taking birth control, and I should have noticed.
Behind your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that's not really cool, but if anything happens, we'll figure it out when we find out. So 2 weeks go by, and we do a test. It comes back positive. I'm like, look, to be honest with you, like, in my honest opinion, I don't think I want to have this child. I'm not pro-abortion, but in this case, I think we should have an abortion, just because, like, I'm dealing with this. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, my kid just got killed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How
Like,
did she take that?
she did not take it well at all.
Yeah.
She did not. She did not take it well at all. And, understandably, like,
Right.
but like, given the circumstance, like, you come on, like, give me some time.
Right.
Like, if you want a child, that I great. But like, I told you, I gave you options. You could either leave me so that I can deal with this by myself. You can stay with me and help me through it, and I have children, and that's it. Like, like
Right.
you had your option to leave, and you didn't take it. And instead you took a hold of a situation and twisted it around, and I felt used, and regrettably, I went along with her choices that she made for me. I felt like I was
Right.
stuck in a situation where I had somebody else making the choice for me.
Yeah. And well, the shitty thing is, right, you have to go along with whatever she wants, you know?
Right. And I'm like, I'm not that type of, like, I'm in no means am I the type of man to, like, spread seed out here and just walk away. Like,
Yep.
what type of a man are you?
Yep.
You know? So I did the right thing, and uh it helped me out a lot through my grieving process, because, I had to kind of like stop thinking about this so much and start thinking about this that's coming, that's here,
Yep.
that's is still gonna need me. Like, my child is not here anymore. Like, he doesn't need me anymore. He's somewhere else. I'm now, this child needs me right
Yeah.
now. So I had to prepare for this child. So I got up and went to work. And this whole time I'm grieving, and I'm working, and I'm barely meeting ends meet. And I was working for myself because I'm a painter, but I wasn't making much money because it was slow. And again, like, I'm just starting up. So I'm asking her for help. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I understand you're pregnant, but like, you're not mobile. Like,
Yeah.
you can DoorDash, you can do whatever to like help out, or like help save some sort of money for when the bad time comes. Like, you have something there to help.
Yeah.
Regardless, no help whatsoever. So we had that financial struggle, and those arguments started becoming more frequent, where I'd ask her for help and she'd get bothered, and it just wasn't an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, we worked through it, and I got myself a job as a maintenance tech, and I got an apartment at a discount for working where I live. And you know, we were we really like we were doing fine, bro. Like it was a regular relationship, you know. Of course, like, you know, given the circumstance, I'm not saying I've had way worse arguments for dumb reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the art, like, and we would speak like adults. Like it was a mature, it was a mature relationship. Like this is my first mature relationship where somebody actually showed me how to communicate the right way, and like they didn't need no showing. It was just the energy that they gave off. Like, you know, you reciprocated. It was a good situation, and once we had the baby, like, bro, within hours, there's already talk of child support. Like within hours of her having the baby,
Oh shit.
yeah, she starts talking in the labor room about, like, you know, child support,
And
and
you guys live together?
we live together. I'm like, why you
Damn.
thought you? I was like, where is this coming from? And then, you know, it just one day, you know, my son was born on the 4th, right? Caden was born on the 4th. James died on the 29th, but he was born on the 10th of April.
Oh, and this is the
So
4th of April?
yeah,
Oh my
but
god.
a year goes by, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying, after my son died. So a year goes by, and then my new son is born.
Wow.
My third child is born. So, you know, for my son's birthday, my deceased son, I go see my daughter, and then I go see my son. My son's mom didn't like that I went to go see my daughter because she's like, she's still in school. You're gonna get him sick with COVID, this and that,
Yeah.
bro. It The situation escalated so far, and I felt so beaten at that moment because, like, here I am again going through another situation where the conditions of me being able to see my child are being manipulated against me, and I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
So I break down and start crying, bro, and then I start like calling her out for her BS. She was staying at her mom's house, you know, like she didn't even come home with me, bro. Like she went to her mom's house after the baby was born, and I'm like, what?
And this is
What
her.
the?
This is her first.
This is her
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, regardless if it's your first or not, like I'm here and I can take time
Yeah.
off of work to help you. Like, you know, like I'm a parent. I know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't need to go back to your mom. Like if anything, if your mom wants to help, you know, like respectfully, if she wants to help, she can come over here and help.
100%. Yeah.
Like I have a nice home, bro. Like everybody has their own room in my house. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, it was just her conditions, her way, and it ultimately got where I called her out on her BS in front of her mom, and her mom was like, "Oh my god, is this true? Like, why are you doing this to this man?"
Oh,
You know?
okay. So her mom's kind of on your side.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
got to that point, and then it got violent, bro. Like she put her hands on me, and I had to walk away from the situation, bro. Like I was like, I'm not gonna deal with that, and now I'm in the process of just establishing my rights again, you know,
Yeah.
with another
But
child.
it's not as crazy situation as the second one.
No.
Yeah.
She's nowhere. Like, you know, maybe I just pushed her buttons, and her just having the baby, or hormones were all freaking, you know,
Yeah.
crazy or whatever. But regardless, bro, like, you know, if you're gonna put your hands on me, I have my own issues going on. Like I have PTSD. I have,
Dude,
you
well,
know,
what you just went
anxiety.
through the last,
Yeah, like, you know,
couple years, crazy.
I'm schizophrenic over stuff, like over that stuff. Like that really messed me up.
Yeah.
My son dying really messed me up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you know, with dealing with that situation, and it being so fresh after my son dying, I just walked away, and I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna push buttons back to the
Yeah.
point where it's gonna make you resent me and look at my child and get mad at him for him having a father who you hate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just totally leave her alone, and you know, I send the money every once in a while whenever, you know, I have some extra money
Yeah. Do
that
you
I'm
get
not
to
giving
see
the
your son at
lawyers.
all? Or I mean, if you
No, she's totally excommunicated me, bro. That's
Damn.
the shitty part. Like, how could he do that to somebody
Well,
who's gone
right.
through what I've gone through? And
And the
like,
shitty, I mean, it obviously sucks for you. But the shitty thing is, it's gonna suck for your son because you know he's gonna be, you know, where's my dad, or I didn't grow up with a dad, or you know what I mean. It's only really
right,
bad for. I mean, obviously it's bad for you,
right.
but
I'm thankful. I'm thankful right now. I feel really bad for my daughter. more than anything, because my daughter, you know, she lost her little brother, who she was aware that he's dead. She's aware that he's dead. She doesn't know that he got killed, but she knows that he's dead.
Right.
And then having another little brother come into your life and
And
have
now not
this
being able
woman
to see him.
out of pettiness, just pure pettiness,
Yeah.
be like, no, you can't see him.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like you know, I can put up with it because, you know, my son, you know, like you said, it sucks that he's gonna be wondering, like, he's only a couple months old, so he doesn't know what the hell, you know,
Right.
he's
Yeah.
where's the milk at, pretty
Yeah.
much. You
Yeah.
know.
Feed
So
me.
like I'm thankful for him being so small, but I it hurts my heart very much for my daughter right now because she's been put through so much,
Yep.
and like it feels like I'm the one putting her through it because I keep putting myself in these situations. But like really, like it's situations that are completely out of my control, and the only way to like keep myself out of these situations is like completely stop dating, you know. And you know, it's just hard to like be alone,
Of
bro.
course, of course. Yeah. I mean, I to give you some advice a little bit. I mean, never don't, you know, even though the mom's not trying to let you see your son, dude, never stop. You know what I mean? Never stop trying to see, because eventually, you know, luckily he is only a couple months old, but eventually maybe, you know, before he's a year old, the mom kind of like gets her shit together and like, oh, maybe I'm being an ass, you
Right.
know, brings you
That's what
back
I'm
in.
hoping
And
for.
yeah,
You know, from what I've heard, my mom reached out to her and she's agreeing to meet up with my mom so my mom can see the baby.
that's
But
awesome.
she's like, yeah, I don't want Kellen to know where we're at, or you know,
Hey, but play by her rules for right now, and
yeah,
it is what it
yeah,
is, you know.
you know, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not, but in no sense am I worried about her harming the child or
Right.
anything.
That's good.
She's totally cool. She's a, like I said, she's a freaking sweetheart. It's just I guess she just had a moment,
Yeah.
you know, and like we're all allowed to have our moments, but like for me, that moment was enough for me to completely say like, you know, it's best that we don't, you know, deal with this type. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't,
It's tough
you
too.
know.
It's tough, man. When you have kids involved too, it's tough. And in Georgia, it's tougher because the woman seems like she just gets the kid and she can kind of make the calls. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So you know, when that happened with me with her, I call the cops because like you know immediately I'm like, oh my god, not again, you know.
Right.
So I call the cops and I freak out, bro, because like I don't know how these cops are gonna react to seeing me,
Yeah.
you know, all distraught. Like, are they gonna just put handcuffs on me because they see me like
Right.
irritated and distraught or whatever?
Yeah.
So like I hide, and then the cops show up to her house and they totally like sat there and I watched them treat her like she was the victim. Like they didn't see me like watching, but like I was like watching from a corner.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? Like they're over here like taking pictures of her, like acting like I hit her, and like she's over here like showing them her chest. I'm like, I never touched that woman.
Yeah.
And look, I'm 120 pounds. My baby mom, she's like 200, she was like 280 pounds at the
Right.
moment. So like this is a big woman, you know what I'm saying? So what the hell? Like I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, no way are they sitting there and like gonna sit here. I made the call about somebody like attacking me, and they're gonna sit here and look at the attacker like the victim.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
Oh.
There's
Yeah.
no way. So you know, it's just a cycle, bro, that I hope gets broken, bro. And
100%. Yeah.
you know, I am planning on suing the county for like not listening to me as many times as I called. So, you know, hopefully, you know, them getting sued for something so like for being so careless with this case will change some sort of laws out here because it's not going to be
Absolutely.
cheap.
Absolutely.
Not
And
going to be
that's
cheap.
the whole point in doing that, is because I mean that's really your only action that you have. You lost
Right.
the precious, most precious thing. I would be the same. I would every single day be standing out that fucking courthouse and like just ripping it down. But that's exactly it. Hopefully this case will cause them to change the system and change what happened, because that was 100% on them being,
Yeah.
you know, negligible for
Yeah.
not listening to you or whatever. You know, I mean that's it's fucking crazy.
Right. And now like, you know, with trying to sue the county, like first I talked to a bunch of law firms. Obviously, like I'm still waiting and nobody wants to pick it up, bro.
Oh
Like
wow.
hopefully
Right, like pro
this
bono.
podcast, yeah, it wouldn't be pro bono because the way those lawyers get paid, they sue the county, and this isn't like a small settlement, bro. Like
Right.
this is worth millions of dollars.
Right.
And what they do is they charge like 30% of what the settlement is, and they don't get paid unless you get a settlement.
Unless you win. Right.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. But the thing is, was trying to sue people like this, bro. Did you know that you cannot sue a judge?
Oh
You
shit.
cannot sue a judge.
Wow.
They have immunity.
That's pretty wild.
So I cannot sue the judge who placed him in her custody for using the pictures of the allegations that I made against her.
That's
I cannot
crazy.
sue that judge. I've already talked to lawyers about that. And they're like, nah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You cannot sue the police. You cannot sue the police anymore, bro.
Right. So it seems like the judge, I mean, the attorneys are all like, well, this is going to be a lot of work, and maybe I might
They
not
don't
get
really
something
want
at
to
the end
do
of the
it.
day. Yeah.
So it ultimately what they're saying is I can either sue DFAX, right?
Yeah.
Or I can sue her mother for helping cover up, the abuse when DFAX actually went in and investigated.
Right. But the shitty thing too is it doesn't seem like she's coming from a really good home, so it's you can't get much money out of
Right.
someone who has nothing. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So what's the point? So
Right.
I'm sitting here, and the only way I'll be able to sue DFAX is if she is found guilty of child abuse.
Right. Yep. Yep.
If she is found guilty of child abuse, not him,
Yep.
she, and again, like I'm sitting here scratching my head, like, what's the statute of limitations on this? Like, what other blockades are up against
Yeah.
you to be able to pursue holding the county accountable?
I think 100% they're accountable, and that sucks. You can't sue them because that's wild.
It's a headache, bro.
Yeah.
And these lawyers, a lot of them are scared to fight the county.
Absolutely. I mean, the county is taxpayers' money. It's unlimited, and
Right.
and yeah, so it's a lot of their time and resources. So
and I've been in these courtrooms enough to see how these lawyers, they obviously have like relationships with the county.
Oh, of course.
Like, with the judges and,
Yep.
and the prosecutors
Yep.
and the DAs. They have relations with they
Absolutely.
don't want to throw
tarnish
taint
that.
that relationship. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like,
Absolutely.
it's such a bad, like, what is it called? A practice. It's such a bad practice.
Yeah.
Bro, that they have like these little inner circles, and it's just a money machine, in my opinion, bro.
Yeah.
Like they make money off of broken homes, is what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Man. Well, dude, I hope nothing but the best for you, man. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man.
This story is crazy, but tragic at the same time, and I'm so sorry for what happened.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you guys having me and letting me share my story, man.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll put this out in like a couple days, and nothing but the best for you, man. And
yeah,
I'm
man.
so
You
sorry.
Too. You too. Thank you, man.
All right, have a good one, bro.
You too.
Later.
Listen, you can't hold me down. You can't hold me down. You